Welcome to another video, and right now the land masses in the city in the orc lands of Orgor, who never seen this before, start panicking because water supplies are going down a tad bit, and yes, and has been growing extra large recently. They don't know how to stop it, but the other nation knows, and they do not know about that other nation. But then they easily found out how when some guy was wanting to make the first ever canal in the history of this orcs civilization. They created it and they realized it's not flowing, and now that also causes a new declaration of independence, and they start using that canal thingy to do this to do it into different parts so they can easily do it, and I think it's pretty helpful because it's starting to separate them a bit. Yes, it did. Meanwhile, the roots, there's a round 2 now, I think. Was there a round 2? Oh, yep, there's a round 2. And let's just say that we all know who's gonna win. At this point, we're having a lot of, apparently, just a lot of soldiers. This colony has been there for a while without them noticing, and they're starting to notice after this, and they start massacring everyone. This is where humans first realize about this ancient world they're uncovering. A lot of them start creating human cultures that haven't happened before, and they just destroyed. And now they're all joining Great Ipe. Tetuno was starting to lose everything, and yet they did lose. And we're having a lot of colonies here. I wonder how they do it. Great, now you, oh, they're already losing some. We're also getting some new rivals, like Asia Kingdom, that separate them, believing about some stuff. And right now they're trying their best they're using something called walls, and I think it's helpful a bit. They created they're creating these fortress areas just so they will be safe. And a new age came. At this point, they're creating some are creating weird bunkers. Apparently, I don't know why. And hey guys, apparently we're getting some week independence. Hopefully they win, because I feel like at this point they're taking over the world. But I want to see who's the number 1 in military. Right now it's just a second. In an uncanny way, the weird way, yes, like I said, they're creating bunkers. Yeah, I feel like that makes sense. But the bunkers are like, they're making walls around it, which kind of, I guess, fortified it. They even have like these hills so people can climb, so they can like create some sort of shooting range here. Like I said, they take reclamation very serious, and I guess that they do like it. They're willing to create a fort over it. But back to the story. There was yes, and there's a out of everyone's shock, there was a huge one. This actually delayed some. I think it delayed some battles because of their. Because apparently the land, yes, they did. Apparently and yes, they actually It actually helps for some uncanny reason. These apparently these walls are like turning into a Pangea-like state, and it caused so much trouble, and it caused a pretty large trouble here. For example, trade routes. After that, though, they need to create the canals again, so it took some time, but after that they start finishing. They managed to replace it, and they start creating canals around the area to make sure it does not to separate the some of the parts and lead some rivers back to the ocean. And some people are willing to do this just only because all they really wanted was actually just for defensive purposes. And yes, and they also need to rebuild this fort after that incident. Luckily they did. But they did lose City Hall, so I mean, you lose some, you win some. But they had to do a follow a rule called no building on the wall. It also might destroy some trade routes. And right now, they lose. Great IP has fallen off their place, and they lost as #1 army. They're now #4, and by age, the Eco Empire is the oldest. Sorted by population, Great Nauru, Army, Great Nauru. Yeah, now it's on the #1. And the last one, and the only one to hit 1,000. But also, Gork also losing things, and this is the first new world colony here. And I guess that kind of makes sense. We also, yes, and then we have a lot of armors are deployed this area to make sure everything's okay. And sometimes there are also yet floods. I mean, there's no floods, but after the canals are starting to be more natural like form, so there's some floods going around. Yes, there's some floods going around to make it more natural. Like this river. But as far as we know, all the rivers are pretty much canals, and yes, and there was a war between Great Nauru and something else, and they still are going through the big boomer state. I am wondering how they do it. They also, yes, I actually am wondering how they get, and they reach over 1,000 people. They're still going large, and they're very close to and at this point they have reached all the way to 2,000. So, and they also create canals, so it won't be this chaotic. There's a reason why they become island. If they don't, then they might create an entire man army, and at this point humans are pretty expendable. Yes, humans are very expendable actually. And there was a hyena purpose, and they barely still hold their 2,000 place. And they're also on fire too, so I actually questioning how they do it. How do they keep their population at bay? That's the thing. Luckily the rains makes it winning. And and yes. And everything looking okay.